Kansas are you
I live
located?
in a town called Harper. It's just an hour south of Wichita, which is
Okay.
the biggest city in Kansas, but it's still not very big. So
Yeah.
right by the Oklahoma state line.
Okay.
So pretty.
Cool. So cool. Well, yeah. Well, thanks for taking some time out of your day and joining me and getting on the Clay's a four-letter word
Yeah,
bandwagon.
man. Great. It's good to be
Have you
asked.
have you listened to it at all?
I haven't missed an episode yet.
Oh,
So
awesome. Cool.
yeah,
Yeah. It seems to be people are. I feel like the people that are listening to it are liking it, and I guess I've kind of put myself into a corner that I'm going to keep doing it at least till
yeah.
January. So
It's cool because it's totally different. Like the Potter's Cast and Boldly, they're all different, which is cool because you don't get bored listening to the same people.
yeah. I think I don't know. It's not as hard as I think people think it is. It's a little bit of work, but it's kind of got to be willing to talk and
Talk with people, which is kind of sweet.
yeah. And I know I said it before, but it's like we don't talk to each other enough anymore. It's all
Yeah,
texting, it's all messaging, it's all like emailing. And you used to like call your friend. I remember I used to call my friend. We would talk like an hour. We would just
yeah,
talk. And now
exactly.
it's like this is the only time I talk to people for an hour is when I do these podcasts. So,
I
which
mean,
is
I feel like I know you because we've messaged so much, but I've never
yeah.
even like actually heard your voice talking to me.
Yeah. I know. So that's what's cool about this is like we're kind of getting to know each other. Then when I'm sure sooner or later we'll meet up at Insika or something,
Yeah,
or
right, for
and then
sure.
we'll be like, hey, it's like I know you, even though I know
Yeah,
you. Even that's how
right.
I felt when I met Tim because I had done a couple live Instagram lives with Tim and we'd messaged. So when
Yeah,
I met him for the first time, it was like I've never actually like shook your hand, but I feel like I kind of already have a like friendship with you. So it's
right.
cool to like, kind of do stuff like this to kind of connect.
Yeah.
I guess kind of the first question I ask everybody is like, we're all in the ceramics world and we're all where we are now. Like, what's your story and like how did you kind of get into the world of clay and
Yeah,
where did
right.
you start?
Um, yeah, it was kind of a didn't really mean for it to happen. I guess when I hear a lot of people saying that they touched it the first time and it kind of grabbed them, it's kind of where I was at too. I went to college for painting and drawing, kind of a 2D art major, and I put off my 3D class just because I didn't want to do it too often. And my junior year, I was at Goshen College up Goshen, Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
and took my clay, my ceramics one, and got through pinch pots and slabs and coils and finally got on the wheel. And dude, I sucked. It was
Yeah.
off. And it was like that one thing in the art world that didn't come natural. So I wanted to push and push and push and get it. And I think just all the hours I spent fighting it, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Still fighting it in a new way. I mean, every single day. But yeah, it's like I don't even draw anymore. I don't paint anymore.
Oh,
I'm
really?
so it's kind of cool. But
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people go through that journey. I've
yeah,
had quite a few people who are like total 2D people. Then they kind of touch ceramics and then it kind of like resonates with them on some different level and
yeah.
awesome.
Which I mean, it was kind of cool because like my senior thesis was coming up, and we had to declare what we were doing it in. And my teachers knew me as a drawing and painting major, or whatever. And I finally declared I'm doing it in clay, and they're like, "You're supposed to do it in something you've worked in." I was like, "Yeah, but this is like what I love now." So one of my buddies, he actually is like, "Dude, you got to find a way to draw with clay and impress the hell out of them."
Yeah.
So up with this one. I mean, I didn't come up with it, but I did some relief sculptures on tiles and did figure drawings of different kids that I met, like in Haiti and Bolivia and places like
Wow.
that. And so I brought that culture through clay and drawing together. And yeah, it was pretty sweet because I still got to do my drawing, uh,
Uh-huh.
hey, but I still got to add my clay. So the profs were pretty happy. Um, Pretty surprised, I think, that I actually pulled it off, only having one semester of clay.
Yeah.
Yeah, after that, man, it just stuck. So.
So then you graduated from Goshen College and then
Yeah,
you teach
right.
high school?
I graduated from Goshen with just a straight art degree. I had been in art education, and through some different things, different happenings, I dropped the education and I just wanted to focus on art. And actually, my last semester, I'm sorry, the semester before my last, we have to do what's called SST. It's a study service term. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Overseas for a semester and basically learn just service, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, school, Mennonite faith, so a lot of that has to do with service. And
Uh-huh.
I opted out of that and did not overseas, but I went to Miami, Florida, and I actually got placed teaching school at a school in Little Haiti. So I dropped education, and then I was stuck teaching again. So got away, and then all of a sudden I was put right back into it. But then I graduated from there in 2010 and signed up for a year of service work, voluntary service in Bolivia. And so I went September. I left, and I was in Bolivia for a year. And then the last day before I was leaving, like this girl that we had been like really super good friends with, we like decided to start dating. 6 hours before I got on a plane to like leave forever, you know.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was awesome, but it was like off at the same time. Like, what am I doing? But at the same time,
Yeah. It felt
it was like
right.
we super like each other, so why not try it? And within like 2 months, I was back down there and stayed for another year. And
Wow.
came back one more time for 5 months, and then went back down and married her.
That's
Moved
awesome.
here, got her papers up here, and we've been here since 2013. So
Awesome.
yeah, and I mean that was 3 years that I didn't touch clay. I didn't think of clay. I didn't look at clay.
Yeah.
I was teaching kindergarten in a little daycare kind of deal that's for like single mothers that didn't really have the economic background to support like their kids. So it was kind of like a free and reduced daycare. Um,
Yeah.
I mean that kind of replaced clay in my life for a long time.
You were
But then
molding little kids instead of clay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I mean we came back here then in July of 13, and we had between the two of us, we got married in March, and we had to stay till July till her papers came through. And we got back here, and we had like 2 or 3 suitcases of clothes, a computer, and my parents' basement. And I had bought a wheel and a kiln before we left, so I was like, man, this is our only option. So we started just hammering out pots in the garage. And
And did she have any background in ceramics or clay
no,
or?
she has background like in design stuff. Um,
Okay.
like interior design and graphic design, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, she had never seen like a potter's wheel
Yeah.
about that. But I mean, I'd throw pots at night. She'd come out and sit and just watch, and we'd talk, and that was our evening.
Yeah.
We haven't TV or anything, so
That's
yeah, we made pots, and
that's an awesome foundation to build your guys' like lives on though. Like
yeah,
that
yeah,
time is like invaluable. Like you look back on that, that's an awesome story.
right, yeah. I mean, it's pretty incredible how it all works. Like, 'cause I hear a lot of my buddies who are like, "Yeah, I gotta wait till my whole family goes to bed, then I go out and throw pots."
That's what I have to do.
Like, yeah, man, it's just like I
Sucks.
don't know that
It
because
sucks.
my family comes out and throws pots. I get home from work and they're excited, so we can go out and throw pots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My little one, my youngest one is a little older, cause my older one I can bring out here and he's cool. But my
right.
younger one's crazy. Like I have 2 kids, 2 and 4,
Yeah, right.
and my 4-year-old's like he's a little more chill. My 2-year-old's like insane. Like he's like the one that like you can't like I feel like everywhere we go when we take my kids out, we're like maybe not all 4 of us, but like me and my 2 kids are like 3 Tasmanian devils everywhere we go. Just like loud and crazy, and it's like and it's I don't
Man.
know. It's like, hey, I always feel like when I'm like leaving a place, I always feel like I want to be like Han Solo when he walks out of the bar, where he's like, "Sorry about the mess."
Yeah, yeah, exactly
Like
right.
I always want to be like I wish I had a freaking like $10 coin. I could just be like flip it, like, "Hey, sorry about the mess," because the Reichs were here, but
So I
that's
used to wait tables
how.
in college, like at Chili's and Olive Garden, and
Yeah,
I was a cook, another one. But I would have these families come in. I'm like, can they not control their kids? Like, holy crap! Now that I have a 2-year-old, dude, I know exactly what you mean. It's like you try so hard, and they just tear everything up.
yeah. We don't usually go out to eat.
Yeah, we're
Very
spoiled.
rarely we go out to eat, but every once in a while it's we went to SeaWorld we went to San Diego and SeaWorld last weekend and I met up with my brother and we went to dinner and lunch and breakfast and it was just like a shit show, but hey, we survived.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah,
So you have a 2-year-old as well?
yeah. He just turned 2 in July,
Oh, what July what?
July 26th.
My 2-year-old he turned 2 July 5th.
Oh, right on.
Cool. So hey,
Yeah.
we get our kids together and
Yes, right. College
yeah,
roommate.
yeah. I wish I could get my 2-year-old to like kind of chill out enough to. I think my garage, like my setup is not great. Like my setup is good for me, but it's like in the little corner of the garage and like
Yeah, for
right by
sure.
the door. It's right by the like garage door, and then I usually have the garage door open, and he'll
Uh-huh.
like run out and run into the street because he's psychotic, but it's good.
Yeah, we got the exact same thing going. Like we're jumping off the wheel, crashing a pot in the process, going to get him before he gets out in the street. Like
Oh,
it,
okay.
I've set up a little like those they come in like 8 pieces where you can fold them into a square and they're like a fence.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We have one of those that we broke in half. We put half at the garage door so we can't get out, and we put half around our kilns so he doesn't like burn the crap out
I
of
saw a
himself.
picture of that. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got a
and
nice
so
setup at
like
like 3 kilns, right?
yeah, I've got 3 kilns. Yeah, awesome
Awesome.
guy. They're pretty sweet. I actually just when I came out to get on Skype, it threw an error at me. I changed all the relays today and the thermocouple and everything, and I was just going quick and
Oh,
threw the thermocouple in upside down. So
oh,
about 150 and shut off. But I mean, those are easy. You flip it around in
that's
2 seconds, and
yeah.
and
That's like everything I ever built in IKEA is like, oh, now pieces backwards, undo it, and then redo it, and then
yeah,
yeah.
you're
So
never on the next step. You've got to go back like 5 steps.
of course, yeah, and then you
Uh,
can't find that little wrench or something.
yeah, exactly.
um, so so now you teach high school, right?
Yeah, right.
So
So I've been in high
how did you
school.
become a high school ceramics teacher?
So we came back from Bolivia, and I actually got a job. I got a waiver from the state of Kansas to teach special ed at a high school. And while I was doing that, I went back and got my teaching degree because I had everything except student teaching. So I
Oh,
just completed that out and got my license. And then I got a job teaching elementary art for kindergarten through 8th grade for 4 years. And then one of the local high schools up in Wichita, it's called Mays High School. It's an hour from my house. They had an opening for a ceramics, and I mean it's a huge high school for Kansas. So I was like, "There's no way. Like it'd be awesome, but I'm not even gonna risk my application. I don't want to get turned down, so whatever." And my wife's like, "If you don't apply, you already got turned down, so might as well just apply. Put your name in the
yeah,
hat."
yeah.
And dude, it was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, I heard nothing. So I totally wrote it off. And all of a sudden, I got a phone call, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come interview?" I was like, "Holy crap!" So I went up. I'd never even been. I went to a school of 300 people, so I'd never been. I mean, this high school is bigger than my college was. And so I walked in, and it was just this humongous place. And I was like, "I don't know if this is right for me." I interviewed and everything, and like a week later, I got a call, and they offered the job. So yeah, I went up, and it was actually pretty sweet because teaching the elementary, I had like almost 600 kids once a week.
Oh,
And,
oh wow. You were rotating through all the schools?
I just had 2 schools, yeah. So I do
Oh,
fourth
okay, 2 schools.
and fifth, and then I would do 6th through 8th. But yeah, it was daily. And so now this school has I think like 1,300 kids where I'm at now. But out of my classes, we're on a block, so I teach 3 classes a day, and they're an hour and a half long, and with a plan every day. So I have maximum like 90 kids all day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm tucked away back in the art hallway, and I don't see anybody. So I feel like I'm at a smaller school than I was at the elementary. So
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
that's awesome. And how
Yep.
long have you been teaching high school?
This is my second year.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I got through all last year, and it was so sweet. I had to do an art one, and I had to do a drawing class.
Yeah.
I'm like straight ceramics.
And now you're
So,
doing all ceramics?
so I've got a wheel throwing class. I have advanced hand building, and I have a ceramics one. So
That's great.
weave in between. I have special projects where like they'll throw 2 or 3 kids in each class, and they're independent study. So
Yeah.
like we decide what they want to work on, and they have 9 weeks to just crank out pots. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been teaching for like this is my 15th year, and it's an awesome. I mean, it's honestly I feel so unbelievably fortunate to have like landed in this position
Yeah.
because it's like I gotta teach like so I go back to work tomorrow. Tomorrow and Friday we have like tomorrow, Friday, and Monday we have like our back to school, like get your stuff together meetings, and then Tuesday of next week is the first day, and it's like, yeah, here we go again. And I'm like, oh, I've been kind of not like thinking about it, and now I'm like, oh, like this last week I've been like getting excited and a little bit
Yeah.
like, oh, summer's over. I spent all summer with my kids. My wife's a paralegal and she works from home, but she's been working all summer, and it's been me and the two kids, like me and the two boys all summer, and it's like today is like the last day of like summer,
Right,
and
right.
they're like my older one Owen, he's like, you mean you're not gonna hang out with us all day anymore? I'm like, sorry, dude. Like,
Yeah, that was going back this
it's rough.
like hard. I mean, leaving your kid at home, and all of a sudden he's used to waking up, and like our routine was kind of like I'd wake up with the kid and make breakfast for him, and me and him would eat, and I'd drink coffee, whatever. And
Yeah,
then mom would come out, and I'd come out to the studio, and then they would come out and he'd play in the studio. It was so sweet. And then all of a sudden, just randomly, I'm back at school, and he's like, "Where's Dad?"
yeah,
Breaks your heart, but yeah,
yeah. I
it's
mean,
come home.
but it's awesome that you get so much time off. Like, I think that's
Oh
the thing
yeah,
that is the most amazing part is like you have to work hard and you have to really put yourself out there to a certain
right.
degree, and you have so much as a teacher is not just teaching, like
Oh yeah,
so much stupid paperwork and emails and like stuff
yeah.
that you have to do, and but then it's like when we're doing our teaching thing, it's like, dude, we're doing ceramics, like we're doing
Right.
clay. I'm worried about like clay and kilns and glazes and like loading kilns and like firing things and other
Right.
teachers, which, all the respect to all the other teachers for other subjects, but I'm like, they're taking home stacks of papers and I'm worried about like, oh, I got to load a kiln and fire a kiln. And like,
Yeah. It's
I'm
like
so grateful that's my life.
they come to work in a suit and tie every day with like a big old satchel full of papers.
Yeah.
Here I am coming in the last minute with like jeans and a t-shirt and like a
Yeah.
smile face because I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
So it's
Your
like,
dirty ass shoes. I'm
yeah,
like, I'm
it's
like,
like
I'm like notorious for at my work. I'm not the cleanest thrower, but I'm relatively clean when I throw. But when I'm teaching, I end up doing a lot of the like my hands are a little bit dirty, or
yeah,
like like you kind of do the quick rinse, and then
uh,
I wipe my hands on like my butt and my thighs, kind of like I dry them off because
yeah,
I hate wasting paper towels. So then I go to like meetings after school. I go to like IEPs or something, or I go meet with somebody and I sit in their chairs, and then it's like they know where I'm at because they like there's like a clay butt cheeks, not
yeah.
butt cheeks, but there's like clay on the thing, and the administrator was like, "Did you have a meeting in conference room B yesterday?" Yeah, like I know, and it's like, but
It's so
yeah, it's
yeah,
like, and
you're
they're like teachers are
off.
they're like, "You're always fucking dirty, dude." Like,
Yeah, right.
it's not an apron. I'm like, I don't like wearing an apron when I'm teaching. I'm like, I'm bouncing around. I should, and the other teachers do, and it's a really simple solution. But I'm like, I'm not. I've never been an apron guy. That's just
Yeah,
me.
I'm not an apron guy at all. I've got tons of them sitting there. It's like I'm not putting an apron on. That's just not my style.
Yeah, I'll put a towel over my legs when I throw
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
But when I sit, but now I stand, so I don't really have that issue. When I'm at home, I stand. So, but yeah,
Do you,
like I'm freaking pigpen, but it's clay, not like dirt and grime.
yeah,
It's
is out, so it's good.
yeah.
Do your students like? Do they forget to wipe their hands and go touch everything in your classroom?
In my classroom?
Yeah, so I don't get it. Like my kids will throw and they'll be covered in like their slop,
Oh yeah.
and it's like, hey, we're gonna go grab your clipboard and sign out of class, and never wash their hands. And there's just clay everywhere. It's like you would think it's common sense, but some of these
They're
people,
teenagers.
dude, it's like,
They're teenagers. What grades are you? Do you teach all four grades or what?
I'm currently sophomore through senior.
Okay, you don't have freshmen. That's good.
Yeah, they've got to have art one before they can get in ceramics.
That's
Um,
good. Freshmen
next
are the
semester,
worst.
I'll have a few freshmen.
Freshmen
So,
are the my experience. My first couple years, I taught like 3D art, which is like kind of art fundamentals, 3D focused, and
uh-huh.
oh my god, the freshman boys are like the lowest forms of life on a high school
uh,
campus. High school
yeah,
boys, especially that first semester, they're like, we need to act out and pretend like we're cool and pretend like we're big bad dudes, and it's like
yeah.
freaking know your role and shut your mouth and just be a regular person. And not all of them are like that, and there's seniors that are like that too. But
Yeah.
I'm
You get them.
lucky. I only have 11th and 12th graders, and it's like I wish I sometimes had kids for 3 or 4 years because I was one of those 4-year ceramics kids,
Yeah,
and I
right.
would love to have a kid for like 4 years, but I'm also grateful I don't have to deal with like dumb freshmen all the time.
Yeah. Are you like on a block, so you see them every day, or do you see
I
them
see
every
them
other
5 days a week for
5
like an
days?
hour a day, or not
Yeah,
an
yeah,
hour, like 50. On Mondays we have like meetings in the morning, so on Mondays it's a late start day for them, and their classes are like 48 minutes, and then Tuesday through Friday it's like 56-minute periods.
right,
I would
right.
love to be on a block schedule, and believe it or not, I'm the department chair for the art department, and
Uh-huh.
I'm like one of the few teachers that like advocates for like we should all go on block schedule because
Yeah, right.
we did it for a minute, not a minute, we did it for like a couple weeks for testing in the spring, and I was like, oh, I thought it was great, and me and the science teachers were like, and the science department was like, art and science love the block,
Yeah.
and then math and the math teachers struggled because they're so like every day
Uh,
they have their thing. And our my district has been this way for so long that it's just yeah. I show up when I show up. I show up when they tell me to show up. I teach the classes they tell me to teach. If they ask
right.
my opinion, I'll give it, but I'm not gonna go try to change the world and like
Yeah,
my schools.
I get that. Yeah, that's about.
Um,
Do you imagine though doing math for an hour and a half every day?
yeah. Well, when we were doing blocks, we were doing like 2 hour blocks
Oh,
because it was
geez.
like we were like 56 minutes a period.
Oh
So
yeah.
they were doubling up those 56-minute periods. So that's almost like
Oh
2 hours.
wow.
But for art, it was great.
Oh,
I
art.
mean,
That's
it's
you
like two to 3 hours. It's like a college class, like 3 hours a day, 2 days a week. But
Yeah, exactly.
especially for art, like art and science, because it takes so much to set up and so much to clean up. So
Yep,
part of
exactly.
their whole day is just preparing and tearing
Yeah.
down. So
You
it's
guys
just
clean
time.
every single day?
Clean our wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them. I've kind of in my experience, I just have it because they only throw for like 56, not even 56 minutes. They only throw for less than an hour.
Right.
So it's not that super messy. I mean, I actually take it back. I have some kids who I'm like, how the hell did you make this much of a mess in in like 40 minutes or 30 minutes on the wheel? But generally once they know what they're doing, if you've only been throwing for like 30, like 40 minutes, it's not that
Yeah.
much of a. And I just have them use the bucket of water, like the bucket of water that they use, because that bucket
Yeah.
of water was clean when they started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like use that bucket of water and use that to do like most of it. And then if you have enough time, like go to the sink, rinse the sponge out, and when you rinse all the tools out, and then put it back. And I'm not the best at cleanup, so I'm definitely not the
Right.
cleanup master. Like I should be
Yeah.
more diligent about getting my kids to be really good at cleaning up. But it's at 15 years, I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. So
Uh, that's one of the first year I was teaching my colleague. She was like, "Dude, you're not worth shit for your first 10 years, so don't act like it." Like trying to say like stop trying so hard to be perfect because you have in 10 years you're gonna know what you're doing, so like you're gonna be okay. And that
I
was
think
like the
like 5 or 6 years. I think like 6 years. Once you've gone through, I mean, it's like that Matthew McConaughey thing. Like, I get older, they stay the same age. Like, you
yeah,
do the same routine every year. You have the
yeah,
same basic curriculum, the same age group. You get older, you get more experience every year. I mean, I don't know how much flexibility you have to manage the curriculum and change it up and
right,
mix it up how you want. But
yeah,
I imagine that most ceramics teachers are pretty much like you said, like at the end of the art hall in the corner, like making a mess, doing your thing. So like the great thing is you have the flexibility to change up the projects or change the way you
right,
approach the same projects, like different ways. Like how do you want to do pinch pots? Like
yeah,
you want to have
exactly,
make like 20 pinch pots and then like smash them all up, practice? Do you want to have them make 2 or 3 perfect ones? Do you want to have them make 5 or 6? I mean, there's like different ways to do it, and I've tried the different approaches, and even this year, I'm like, how do I gonna do it this year? Like,
right,
I
right.
don't know.
That's it. It's if you do the same thing each year, you get bored for you. Like they don't know the difference, but I'd rather switch things up and see a different scene each year compared to the same pinch pot assignment, the same coil, the same slabs. So, I mean, I
Yeah, there's
reinvest
definitely like
that.
standards where you're like, I know this is a good project, and I know that this is like, it's good to have a few in the bag.
Yeah,
It's good
yeah,
to have a few of those, like, this is a jammer. I don't have to stress. I know I can bust this project out and the kids will be into it and I can do it
yeah,
every year. And it's like, and then, but I like the different approaches where it's like, how do I want to do slab? Like, how do I want to introduce slabs this year? Do I want to introduce it by they're gonna each make, a plate, a bowl, and a cup? Do I want them to make a series of cylinders and like cut them up? Or do I want to have them do cylinders and like slab cylinder cups and incorporate texture? Because you can, I do a lot of like trying to like interweave the different processes within the basic stuff. Like I'm really
right.
into texture, so I'm always like
Oh,
trying to introduce ways to like produce texture. And
right.
then so
Yeah, I
it's
seeing just a flat pot or a flat vessel that they make with no texture on it whatsoever. That's I incorporate so much texture in every lesson just because if you don't, I mean, they're going to take the easy way out and they just throw whatever together and they're done with it. But
yeah, and I think, one of the things I try to like emphasize with my students, because I think I think a lot of people students get intimidated by art because they have these expectations, and then it's like I'm not creative, like I'm not an artist, and they
right.
put this like weight on themselves, like I'm not an artist, so I'm not going to be able to like, because a lot of people have the misconception that art is drawing and painting.
Yeah, yeah,
People are like, "Oh, art, that means you," people are like, "Oh, you teach art?" "Yeah, I'm an art teacher." "Oh, can you, like, draw really good?" I'm like, "Nah, not really." Like, I can draw good enough that if I had to teach a beginning drawing class, I could be like, "Contour line drawing, guys." Like, I know
yeah,
enough to how to I'll teach the shit out of perspective. Like, I got my
yeah,
vantage points, I got all that down, but I'm not, like, that kind of an artist. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
I try to really emphasize with my students, like, how, like, patterns and textures and the elements of art, you don't have to be creative. Like, you don't have to be creative to make a bunch of dots, you
right.
know? You don't have
Right.
to be like, "Oh, I'm so creative because I made a bunch of lines that made like a nice little thing." And I know from my experience, when you kind of give students those tools of like use pattern and texture to kind of hide the fact that you're not creative,
Yeah.
it opens up their ability to kind of like get out of that like realistic art and
Mhm.
just get into like design through ceramics and stuff. And I feel that's, from my experience, that's a good approach that I do to all my students. And I have students that are like, I want to actually like do people or do like figurative stuff because I
Right.
suck at figurative stuff. I've gotten much better, but I'm like every year when it's time to start that like figurative assignment, like, oh shit, we're gonna do a bust. Like, okay, like I got a bunch of examples and I've done it enough 15 years. I've done it. I can the figure and I've done all these projects, but so much of my personal art is like pottery. Like I just want to make
Yeah.
pots. But so
Right.
much of my teaching is like hand building and sculpture. So I have to like fake it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So
that's like me, the Potter's Wheel, man. That is like I love the Potter's Wheel. That's my love.
yeah.
So I go and I have to teach this hand building stuff, and it's just like, man, let's just get onto the wheel and do something fun.
How
So
many
it's
skills do you have?
we have 21 in my class.
And then how many are in per class? How many students per
Um,
class?
currently, my wheel throwing class is 16. Last year I had 21. I had every wheel was full.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Oh, so you have
Yeah,
a separate wheel throwing class.
yeah, it's just strictly wheel throwing.
Oh, that's cool.
It's real sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, I just
And
have
they,
like beginning and advanced. And then
um,
as far as like hand building and wheel throwing.
yeah, yeah, we have
Oh,
no ceramics, and then from there they branch out. If they like hand building, they go to advanced hand building. If they like the wheel or they want to try the wheel, because I don't give it to them in art one or in ceramics one. So I've got 30 kids in ceramics one. I can't get everybody on a wheel for 2 weeks. So that's, I mean, they see my special project kids throwing, and that sparks their interest, and then they decide they want wheel or they want hand building. So then they take that route. But pretty much the majority, if they go advanced, they take both.
hmm.
So that's
Are
really
those semester classes or year-long classes?
yeah, straight semester.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
But
That's cool. They can
there's
kind of choose.
every single day, an hour and a half for one semester on the wheel, so they get a lot of time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hot. It's
It's so interesting to me how different school and school districts all over the country, how they like structure their ceramic, like the way your ceramics and the way your school district or your school does it.
yeah, right.
It's so different than like mine. but we're still doing the same thing. We're still teaching ceramics, so that's what's just cool.
And I mean, you can approach ceramics from 500 different ways. Like,
Yeah,
doesn't matter. They could go to you and learn totally different things than what they're getting in my class. So that's what's cool. Like, it's a
yeah,
humongous, huge part of art, and it's the most unknown to the outside world. I feel because nobody really knows what's going on in there.
and there's so many variables, and there's so many. The process is so complex. When you really break
Yeah,
down the entire process, from like digging, hypothetically digging the clay out of the earth and
yeah, right,
processing it and getting all the way to like unloading it out of a kiln with all those materials that were also dug out of the kiln, out of the earth to make the glazes. Like, it's insane. Like,
yeah.
and then all the steps along the way and how it's easy to break. Like, and there's so many possibilities with like
It's a miracle
it's
how kids get
amazing.
stuff all the way through both firings and it's still in one piece.
Yeah. And
And
then
I mean,
it's
ceramics, all of a sudden, here come the Art One kids, and they walk in, they're like, "Oh, look at that sweet pot," and they pick it up and break it. It's like, "What the hell, kid?"
yeah,
So,
teenagers. I'm sure the teenagers that you have in Kansas and the teenagers that I have in Southern California aren't that much different.
no,
And
there's
they're like teenagers are teenagers, and they're like awesome. Like, I really like the age,
oh,
but I also understand the like challenges that come with it. But
right,
it's just getting them to kind of like, I think getting them to know like that, dude, I'm on your side. I want to be that supportive adult in your life that is
right,
like
yeah,
helping you become an adult. Because I feel like there's a lot of, I feel like I mean, this is like the unpopular teacher perspective probably, but I feel like a lot of what they learn in school isn't important. Like, the content of what they learn isn't important. It's like learning responsibility, deadlines, accountability, collaboration, like being responsible and being
right,
accountable. I mean, like, you need to learn this information and memorize it so you can regurgitate it, or you need to learn this process because that's when you're an adult and you're working in the real world, like
yeah,
that's what you do. And then these like the new my school's really into Avid, which I don't know if you're familiar with Avid. I don't know if that's a California thing, but there's all these like kind of new teaching strategies, and so much of it is about collaboration. And at
right,
first, as a ceramics teacher, I'm like, I'm so like, I know what I'm doing. All these dumb teaching strategies don't apply to me because I teach art, and it's different than so many of these other new strategies. But
right,
the word collaboration consistently comes up in like the dialogue of what we're getting from the district. And it's like, yeah, in reality, like, collaboration is everything. Like, you have to work with other people. You have to
oh,
learn. So like getting your little collaborative groups within your classroom is like, it's awesome how the dynamics of ceramics teach them so much for the rest of their lives. Of like,
uh,
shit's
for sure.
hard. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna screw up. You're gonna work really hard on something, and it's not gonna work out the way you wanted, and you're gonna be disappointed. And guess what you got to do? Like, do it again, dude.
Huge and everything. Yeah, every point of it, you can relate to every part of life for the kids. It's awesome.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges that you've had as a teacher, as a going into your second year?
I mean, like I kind of compare it from like elementary to high school. So like these kids I can have conversations with, but like I mean that also brings challenges of like home life because these kids, man, some of the kids like, holy crap, I had a great home life. Like I had both my parents, and like life was just pretty much on a gold platter for me, and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
These kids come and they spill everything. Like to you just looking for help and love, which is pretty sweet. Because I mean, like you said, we can be that figure for them that's going to constantly be there and not be pissed off at them daily.
Yeah. I hated
So,
my parents in high school. I love my parents, but in high school, when I was at that age, I was like, I very similar to you. I had a really good home life. My parents are together. They're still together. Like, they were very supportive, and still, as a rebellious high schooler, I was still like, "Shut up, mom. Shut up, dad. Like, leave me alone."
yeah,
And you have to have those adults in your life that can kind of help make sure that you're still doing things the right way, going in the right direction. So I know I try to be, because I've had some kids, and I teach at a very interesting school with a very diverse group of students from different cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds, and it's like I get
yeah,
everybody from I live in a weird area, kind of, where it's
Yeah,
kind of
right.
right. Like you can go any direction, and you're in like a really like $1 million houses, and like 30 people in an apartment, and it's in like
Yeah,
a couple miles either direction. So, hey, well, that's the Orange County for you. But
yeah,
anyways, yeah, like it's being that adult for the kids is such an important part of being a teacher that
right,
I
right.
don't think everybody quite understands if you
No,
haven't taught.
it's
Um,
crazy.
so
So,
I know you kind of have the teaching part of it, and then you kind of have like a business part of your ceramics life too, right?
yeah, yeah, we do. I mean, kind of a lot of everything. Like on my Instagram, I kind of just try to stick with more of the arty stuff, something that's different. But like we do all sorts of like we have, for example, probably what we do the most of. We call it kind of our advertisement line, where we just make a basic, like one of these, like a basic, just I don't know, I call it a classic mug, which has like a belly and a lip,
Mhm.
and then we advertise. So this was like our fair was last 2 weeks ago, and so Harper County, that's where I live, just make a whole lot of these, and people buy the crap out of them. So it's pretty cool. But then like it's starting to take off where like businesses want to advertise with mugs, and they give mugs away, like business cards. We
Yeah.
actually do a ton of that, which is amazing. I never would have thought like in a little town. I live in a town of like 1,300 people, so I never thought it would be there. But yeah, the internet's kind of changed the way you can do that. So yeah, we're pretty full time in the evenings. I'd say we're out here 3 to 4 hours, and then pretty much every weekend. So and then
Cranking them out.
my wife stays and raises our kid, but while she's at home, she's like unloading kilns, she's sanding the bottoms of pots,
Oh, that's awesome.
she's glazing, she's underglazing, she's doing it. She's starting to do her own stuff.
That's awesome.
Do these little ring bowls where she's making fruits.
Oh, that's awesome.
If you look, they're super detailed.
That's great.
Yeah, so I mean, they're sweet. And she's never had a ceramics class. She just watches me and starts.
Well, I mean, she had you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, she's
Good.
got
Hey, that's probably your best student.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, and I'm sure your kid will be like an amazing student.
yeah. Hopefully,
Because I'm like cool. Like my kids are not gonna have a choice. Like Pops is gonna go out to the garage and do ceramics. If you want to hang
yeah.
out, like
Dad, today you're gonna be out in the shop.
yeah, exactly.
Kids ever break
Um,
stuff?
what's that?
Your kids ever get in your pots and break them like out in the
Yeah,
shop?
yeah, and they broke in other people's pots. I just did an interview last night actually with Nathaniel Sheets,
Yeah, right.
who works with Tim,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
me and Nathaniel did a trade like a year and a half or so ago, and my kid like totally destroyed his mug. I mean,
No,
accident, but it's like I kind of like now I'm like cool. All the mugs that we actually use on a daily basis are like my mugs
yeah,
mostly. That like my seconds. So I'm
yeah,
like, whatever, like if they break, they break. I have a couple that are not mine that I use that are just kind of like good functional mugs that I've had for a while. And the
yeah,
nice ones that I've had, like the trades I have a little shelf and it's like
yeah,
I'll
right.
bust it out once in a while, but it's like I don't want my kid to break anymore because I have 2 and 4-year-old boys and
Yeah, no, yeah, for
they're
sure.
crazy. Like they're
Right.
insane. My little one he's wild. Like he's little. We almost named him George, and I wish we did because he's totally curious George. Like climbs on everything, he gets into everything, and he's so happy and carefree about it. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
We
it's awesome. It's so awesome, but at the same time, it's like, oh my god, like
right. Yeah. No, I
another
get.
mess to clean up, kid. Like
Yeah.
whatever.
No, that's like in our shop. So we have like we set it up so that it's a workshop in half of it, and in the back, I don't know, you can kind of see back there.
Yeah.
Very far back, there's like shelves where we'll clean it out and do like a Christmas show, or people will call and be like, "Hey, do you have something for a wedding?" So they'll stop in. So we leave it displayed pretty nicely, and we'll be out here throwing and talking. All of a sudden, we look, and like the other day, my kid was holding a $150 bowl, and it's like, go put that down. If you yell, he drops it. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
But we've got like a running total of how much stuff he's broke, so that when we start giving him allowances, we'll like make him pay it back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
We'll see
um,
if it comes through or not.
so uh, maybe I'm pretty sure when you were in Bolivia, you went there recently, right? You went back
Um,
this summer?
so being a teacher, like with our 2 month or 3 month break, we try to go down as often as we can. So
Yeah.
I think we left the 4th of June and we got back the 24th of July. So
And
we
then
were there about 2 months.
you did some ceramics down there for a
No, I just
minute, or did you visit somebody that did ceramics down there, or
we visited. There's a lady we visited way up in the mountain village. So we got married like so. Santa Cruz is a 2 to 3 million person city, kind of in the middle of Bolivia, and we got married in a little village up in the mountains, like 3 hours from there.
uh
So back up in there, and there's like a lot of hippies from Argentina who move out there and they go do their artwork and they sell their bracelets and everything in the plaza. And so we actually found one that does this sweet pottery, and I asked if she had a studio. She's like, I've never really invited anybody, but yeah, you're welcome to come. So and it was crazy. We had to drive way out into the woods, this forest, and then cars couldn't get past. We walked maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes and finally found this little entryway to her house. And she had built her house all basically out of mud and clay and had like wine bottles that she like sort of used
yeah,
adobe bricks.
like
And those
windows?
was it was super cool. And she had built her own little wood kiln. It was probably a 3 cubic foot wood kiln that she
Wow.
would fire in like 5 or 6 hours. And it had like these drafts and chimneys and everything. It was crazy. And she didn't have like any cone packs. I mean, she's just out in the jungle basically.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, so she was doing these ridiculous little pots and a lot of earrings. But so they have these like Machu Picchu. Have you ever heard of that in
Uh-huh.
Peru?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But then there's like it's called El Fuerte de Simapata in Bolivia, where they say they're the cousins of the Incas there, and she's been hired by that group to recreate the pottery that they find.
wow.
Like making this old ancient like pinch and coils and stuff because she doesn't have a wheel or anything. But
Yeah.
the most symmetrical pots I've ever seen. Amazing detail. She doesn't use glaze. She doesn't use anything. It's just she'll mix her own underglazes. She'll mix her own slips.
And all local materials, I imagine,
Yeah,
right?
out and digs her clay out there, and it's amazing. And then she'll sell them. Like we bought these sweet earrings for my wife, and they were like I don't know, $10 maybe. It's like all that process for $10. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, that's a life down there too. So
Yeah, it's a different life than
yeah,
we,
right.
you know.
Oh, but then we went out. So I made friends with these guys who make bricks. I make handmade bricks. So we were out there, and it's the exact same process of any pottery here. I mean, they dig their own clay. It's everything. They're making square blocks of clay that dry in the sun. They fire them. They do a single firing. Obviously, it's basically just bisque.
Mm-hmm.
I would just from touching the bricks, I would assume they're hitting maybe like cone O2, maybe O4. But they're firing like 63,000 bricks in a kiln at once. So this kiln
Wow.
is humongous. I mean, I could fit, I don't know, maybe 50 of me inside. And I'm a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I've gotten to know them since when I was down there. So every time I'm back down there, we got married in 2013. And we've been back 4 times. So we always go out and see these guys, and they're awesome, man.
That's
It's
so
just
cool.
crazy. But it's not. I mean, it's not pottery. It's nothing that I do, but it's the same process. I
It's the
mean,
same thing. It's ceramics.
yeah,
Ceramics.
all the same firing, everything. So
You can talk the same language.
yeah, exactly right.
You talk clay. That's so cool to like have that to go see that kind of experience and kind of engage with people and connect with
Yeah,
people on that level of like, it's universal language, you know?
right, right. No, I mean, and just walking back there, you feel like you're walking in ancient Egypt, like with all
Yeah.
the
It sounds so cool.
yeah. And so I like tell them like, hey, I make ceramics too, and they're like, oh, really? So I pull out my Instagram and show them one of my like line mugs that I'm doing, and they're like, that's not clay. It's like, yeah, it is. So then you explain underglazes, and I mean they understand glaze and stuff. They have like a
Yeah.
glaze that some of them use down there. But yeah, it's just I mean they do their one thing. It's exactly what we do, but that's what they do. They make a life, and they just keep going at it. So it's super awesome to be down there with them and see their kilns firing.
Yeah, I
And
can't wait to go do that stuff. I can't wait to go. I really want to go see that stuff. I talking to somebody else about that, but I can't wait to go visit and
yeah,
see
dude,
these different cultures doing the same kind of thing. And now
right,
I want, and it's like it's cool. It'd be so cool if someday somehow like those guys could come visit you and see
right.
your studio, and you could be like, check this out, and they
Yeah,
could be like,
yeah.
oh, like look at that
So
kiln, like
yeah, so the one guy, like the head guy that was down there, there's four guys who went into business together, and they bought this land and they built everything together. And like the head guy, I got really close to. We actually, me and him traveled to Chile for a conference back in like 2012. So
Mhm.
we were down in Santiago, Chile. So we got to know each other pretty well. But I mean, these guys have lived way out in the sticks their whole life. And so I pulled out my iPad and I'm like showing him Google World and zoomed in and I showed him his kiln on Google World
Oh
and
my god,
or Google Earth, and he was
yeah.
like, "Holy cow! Like that's great." I mean, he couldn't believe it. But then,
It's hard to believe for me, like that's
yeah, right.
crazy when you think about like how much
They're watching everywhere.
they're watching everything. They're
Yeah,
listening to us right now.
yeah. So, anyways,
The Skype lords are listening. Hi, Skype lords,
yeah,
or hi podcast lords.
that's right.
We mean well in our ceramics world. We're just trying to be chill ceramics
Yeah.
people.
No, but this head guy, so we decided he was going to come up. We had a group of, I think there was 8 people who came up here for a church conference that we had,
Mhm.
and we tried to get him to come along. So, like, to get your visa to come to the United States, you have to go apply, whatnot, and it's like a
Yeah.
24 bus ride for him. And he went and he applied, and you have to give your fingerprints, and it's all electronic. So he was putting a thing on. They couldn't read his fingerprints because he'd worked with bricks so long. He had rubbed
Oh
all his,
my gosh.
and so that he couldn't come. Like they wouldn't let him in.
Oh my gosh.
Tell him go back home, don't work for 2 weeks, grow your fingerprints back, and come back. So he did. And that day, the day he had his second appointment, like all of the embassies of the United States had gotten hacked into, and they canceled all their appointments. And he was on that day, so he didn't get to come.
Oh my gosh.
Someday he'll come and he'll see it, and it'll
That's
be awesome.
like the worst story I've ever heard. Well, not the worst story, but that's a bummer.
Yeah,
But I mean,
right,
he didn't
right.
get hurt or anything, or like that's just a
Yeah,
that's
it's
a bummer.
nuts.
Um, and then so like you kind of have this like awesome. I had to admit, I'm pretty jealous. You seem to have a great like work, art, life balance going. Of kind of like
Yeah, right.
very supportive kind of family life that lets you
Oh
guys
yeah,
kind of do that. That's totally awesome. How do you like and so I kind of did a little insta stalking of your Instagram,
yeah, right. Yeah,
and I kind of feel like maybe a little bit like kind of how where I'm at is that it seems to me like you've been kind of like as an artist, you've been trying to kind of like you've been working through some different ideas over the last couple years,
yeah, right. Yeah.
and you kind of figured out do you like the direction
Uh,
that your stuff's going in, or are you changing directions, or
yeah, really. I'm pretty pumped about it. Give me 2 seconds. So in Bolivia, like more people think of it as Peru, but like the ladies wear that the indigenous dress where it says bright colors, and it's in Bolivia and the Spanish of Bolivia. It's called aguayo. And so I've been looking for something because I just did these basic, 2 dip in the glazed mugs and stuff where it was, dip it in blue, dip it
yeah,
in gray, where it mixes boring, whatever, take it to a show and sell a lot of them because they're cheap.
yeah,
Got to the point where like, I want to start like actually doing this. And I got on Instagram and you start, when you graduate college and you don't have Instagram, you think there's like 10 people in the world that do pottery,
yeah,
like on top of the world. Then all of a sudden you start going to galleries and you see other people's stuff, and you're like, "Whoa, people actually do this," and I'm really not that good as I thought I was.
yeah.
Then I don't know who got me on Instagram, but you get on there and you start seeing these people, and it's just like, dude, I suck.
Yeah, good.
So
I'm so happy you said that because I feel the same way. I've been doing this ceramic stuff for since I was a freshman in high school in 1992.
yeah,
And it's like a long time, and I'm like, I suck. Like,
yeah,
I
dude,
don't suck, but like, it's. I'm like, there's people that have been doing it for just like a couple of years. I'm like, You guys have been doing it for like 2-3 years, and you're already like doing cooler stuff than I've ever done. But it's cool. Like I'm still gonna do what I do, and
You get crushed really quick when you see other people's kick-ass work, and you're just like, dang, like I really thought it was good and whatnot. But then so I started thinking like I've got to do something and step up this game. And I'd heard of underglaze. I didn't know really what it was. I mean, this is back when I was still teaching kindergarten art. I'm doing finger painting and
yeah,
and so so I get on Instagram. I start like searching people, and I found like Companion Gallery, and everything there is pretty much made by Baby Jesus himself because it's so good. And
I totally agree with you.
cool. And they had what was it way back in the day, like Iron in the Fire was there.
Yeah, the first materials-based show they did.
Yeah, right. And so
Yeah,
and they're like, you have to apply. You're so good. And I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm dipping two glazes. There's no way I'm applying to this show. I've got to do something cool. So I started working on these. Anyway, so these like aguayos, that cloth. My wife's like, you need to do that pattern. Like, there's nobody doing anything really like that. And you need to do something with it. So I sat down and made like this was my very first one.
oh, it's so cool.
You can see it, and I'm like thinking rock star status because it took me, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours for every cup, and I did a series
Yeah.
of like 20 of them. And so this was like a me, right? And then I made a matching mug.
Uh-huh.
So I made a lot of these, and I was pumped. And it was what Rene Lepresti, the underglaze one.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I'm so getting accepted to this, easy peasy, whatever. So I apply and get denied, and like my world crashes down, and I'm like, I still suck.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what? Like, oh, these are awesome. And then like 2 years later, you look at them, or maybe it's been a year, and you're just like, dude, I know why these didn't accept it. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't take your time. Like, these suck. So yeah, so I mean, the Aguayo mug is what we call it, and it's really taken off and gotten a lot cleaner and doing it unglazed on the outside to keep the colors really vibrant. And then we're using like our Cricut vinyl cutter and doing like these white details. So this is like the
Yeah. I was wondering how you got those not done so nicely.
yeah. So
Okay,
we
you just
kind
had
of
a nice steady hand, but
yeah, no, it's all basically a stencil work that I create, Photoshop, and then cut it out on the Cricut, and then it takes forever to put down. And I used the what are they called? The stroking coats that are just a solid color.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, those are awesome.
I don't have any here. I'd show you. So yeah, those turned out pretty cool. And then I don't know, they take hours, and I'm a fast worker, so it's really hard for me to sit down and waste 5 evenings doing these mugs.
Yep.
And like one night, I woke up, I don't know, 2 in the morning, and had this like, oh, this is something I'm gonna do, and it was the line mugs I'm doing now. And it was kind of like still the same kind of like cloth, but somebody explained it. Like I didn't have the words to explain it, but somebody was like, perfect. It's kind of like the end where it's been hemmed, but like the little fibers
Yeah. The
are
stitches, yeah. Yeah, the
yeah,
threads.
or like the back of a quilt or across the table.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still like the fiber stuff that we're going for, like cloth,
Uh-huh.
but like these loose ends. And then my eventually I want to do like so the background of this is like a turquoise, do like a mix of turquoise, and then do the lines of all the different colors and blend the two ideas together.
Mm,
Um,
that's cool.
so we're working on that, whatever. And then what was it? The cobalt came up.
Mhm.
I threw some blue lines on it, and I got accepted. So just shipped those off last week. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's funny. I got some of my sneaker mugs accepted, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just dropped those off yesterday in the mail.
Yeah, right.
So,
But I don't
hey,
know, like,
our mugs will see each other there.
yeah, for sure. It's sweet to be accepted as something so big like that, and like, I mean, show with people that everybody knows. But like, the coolest thing I think that ever happened was getting denied because it made me want to kick more ass and like get better. And so now when you get accepted, it's like, I hope this isn't my pinnacle, Like I want to keep.
No, no way. No, yeah, I've been applying. I think about a couple years ago I started kind of getting a little more serious and applying, and yeah, I have applied to the last call like the last 2 years, and I've gotten denied both times to the last call show. But then I
Oh
did
yeah.
get accepted to the copper show and the underglaze show and
Oh,
the this last one. So yeah, I mean, I've gotten quite a few rejections from a bunch of galleries all over the place, and it's like I always tell my students because we have some like scholarships we do where it's like or like art contests, And I tell them, I'm like, it's art contests suck because they're subjective and it's based
Yeah,
on one or two people or three people's opinions, and they have their own hangups, their own background, their own life experience. And I'm sure they try to be as objective and as fair as they can be. But at the same time, I tell the kids, I'm like, you might do something and it's got a a, a bee on it, right? Well, when
right.
that person was a kid, they got stung by a bee and they don't like bees. So people make weird associations, or like maybe they don't like blue, maybe they were triggered by something. So it's like if you don't get accepted, if you don't win art related things, it's like
Right.
it's
Nothing.
whoever the judge, it was their opinion. It's not a like
Right.
a
Oh yeah.
score. It's not like it's nothing you can really quantify winning or
Yeah.
losing. So it's like whatever, you just keep applying and
Right. Right. Yeah,
kind
that's
of is what it is.
so that came up, right? And it was due like July 19th, and I was going to be in Bolivia, and we were leaving June 4th, so I had to like crank that stuff out in May and take pictures and get it all done, and I wanted to apply like Charlie Cummings had the what's
Yeah, the
the
5 one.
yeah, right, and it just doing it all from South America, like it just got to be too much, so I just did Companion, and I don't know. From here, we'll go on and see other shows and see what happens. I mean,
There's
that's
uh
only
there's plenty of
so high.
shows. Actually, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna add you. I'm in this little group with me and some of my other ceramics friends.
Yeah, right.
Just mainly post like open call for entries.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll add you to the. It
Yeah,
used to
thanks.
be. It's called. It says OC Ceramic Artists, but it's not just OC Ceramic Artist.
Getting
It's
fuller.
it's becoming a little broader. Well, I'm the one inviting other people, but whatever. It's all for It's all for like juried shows around the country. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, I always see them. I'll see the advertisement on Instagram, and I'll screenshot it, and then eventually I lose the screenshot and I forget.
yeah. Well, now you can go back on all the. It'll be saved on a chat. So
Oh, sweet.
I
Yeah,
just
right.
added you. So welcome,
Yeah,
welcome to OC Ceramic Artists.
thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
But yeah, I mean, there's some open call for entries next month in
Okay.
September for a couple shows.
Oh, right. Yeah, great. Yeah, that's a good
So
list.
yeah, that's where I just go check there, and so
Yeah, I just saw this Mark Arnold one last night too.
yeah. So it's a good little central place to keep this stuff and
Yeah, right.
cool.
Yeah, great.
Um, do you have any great ceramics disasters or injuries
Um,
that are worth talking about or?
I'll have hundreds of them, right? Just like which ones are worthy to talk about. Yeah, so I guess like the first one I really remember was my senior year doing that thesis, doing those tiles. I decided to do this one, so I did I don't know like 6 different pieces, and they were usually 3 tiles or 6 tiles that came together. And I wanted to do one that really like jumped out at everybody, so I did it with 32 tiles. So it was 8 feet across and like a piece of plywood, 8 feet
Oh,
wide,
eight by four.
and it was 2 kids' heads from Haiti, and it was super super cool. And I was so pumped about it. And you always wait the last minute, so I fired like 2 days before we had to hang, and opened the kiln. It was all reduction fired with iron oxide. There was no glaze or anything. Opened the kiln, and every single tile of one kid's face, so like half of it, I don't know, 16 tiles. They didn't blow up, but they were cracked in half. And
Oh.
like the worst thing in my life because my instructors have been like, you shouldn't do this. You just stick to something whatever, that story. And all of a sudden, here's my whole thing with 2 days ago just broke, and it killed me. But then, like, I don't want this to sound bad because it was an awful disaster. Like, I was in Haiti 2 months before that huge earthquake, right? And we
Oh.
opened a hospital and kind of a free hospital and whatnot. So I got to know a lot of people through that. But that earthquake destroyed that hospital and all these people's lives. So I pulled this out and I put it together. It still went together, but it just had
Oh.
cracks everywhere. And my friend came and he's like, "Dude, Haiti just got rocked by this earthquake, and basically this is kind of showing how your piece represents the earthquake, dude. Like these people's lives just got shattered, just like your piece, but they're still coming together to make one
Oh
big
wow.
comeback." So you write that in your artist statement, and everybody was just like, "Dude, this is the coolest thing we've ever seen."
Home run.
Still gives me goosebumps talking about it,
Yeah,
dude.
that's
It's
awesome. I
amazing.
got
Like,
goosebumps.
I'm sad thinking like, wow, this earthquake saved my art project and it ruined everybody's lives. But
Well,
the
it was good that you were able to make the most out of a bad situation.
yeah, exactly.
You made the most out of two bad situations. I
Yeah,
mean, in big
yeah,
grand scheme, like your situation wasn't that big of a deal compared to like an earthquake.
yeah, exactly.
But that's still your world and your life, and that's all you can really worry about in a lot of ways is like your
Right.
consciousness and your world. So
Yeah,
that
sure.
mess with your, I mean, yeah, I can imagine the amount of, I mean, that's like the worst feeling in the, not the, there's worse feelings, but that open that kiln feeling, and
Oh,
it's like 1,000% not what you wanted to do, and you have a show coming up,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like, oh my god, like I've completely failed. I'm a
There's no,
complete failure, and I suck, and I'm like, what are my instructors, or what is anybody gonna say? Like, do I have to
yeah.
start over? Do I have to do it again? Is this gonna set me back a
The worst,
semester?
like, told you so, man. Like you didn't know what you were doing and you just blew it.
Yeah, I told you
Yeah.
so.
But like the cool thing was like it was my piece. But like now that I'm a teacher, I'm firing students' pieces. And like last year we had a huge it was freaking awful. So it was our last project, their final and advanced hand building, and they had to build a self portrait that they were not in. So it had to represent them, their life, and all this stuff, but not just be a bust of themselves.
Symbolically.
Yeah, right. And so, like, I gave them, it was like 3 or 4 weeks, and I said, our last day of wet clay is this day because we have to let it dry, we've got a fire, we've got to do all this stuff. And they came and they're like, Mr. Shue, like, we didn't get done. And they're really cool. We want to finish. And I'm like, here's the deal. Yeah, you can finish. We can fire it how it is, and it's going to work. Or you can finish it, take it home, and we can try to like soak it in the kiln for everyone up. So I had four like sweet sculpture, like they were super well done, and we put them in, and I soaked them for 55 hours and just did a fire. Yeah, I mean it was the last day of school. They were going to come out the last day of school and basically have time to like iron oxide them.
Hmm.
And I opened the kiln that Monday morning, and I've never seen so many tiny pieces of ceramic that it just blew to hell. Like it was the worst explosion. And then they come in so excited. Like this one girl had a cat that, I mean, she could have won some college scholarships with this cat. And like I feel like I blew the crap out of it. And it's like, I mean, I know it wasn't my fault, but it was my fault because I pushed start, right? So
Oh, it was electric kiln.
yeah, it was just electric.
Oh.
So, I mean, you can't really explain that to a kid good. I mean, they took it.
Yeah.
But the worst part was they were four girls and like the tears flooded, and then it's like even worse. But, it happens.
That's in the
But
gut, man.
yeah, it sucked. Like, I
Ugh.
still feel so like Monday. No, what was it? Last Friday, because they went to K State on Sunday. So Friday, they actually came back and saw me before they went to school. She's like, "Remember my cat?" And I'm like, yeah, I remember. Like, how would I forget? So
Yeah, you'll never forget that. You'll never forget those four kids.
yeah, exactly.
At least,
So,
especially that your first year. Like,
right,
it's a
right.
good that's a good first year story. You
Yeah,
know.
I made it the whole 2 semesters with nothing really, and then just blew it my last day. So, what can you
Welcome,
do? I'm not like they could
welcome to
come.
ceramics.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to ceramics. Ceramics is hard. Welcome to
Yeah.
ceramics. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's we're about an hour, a little over an hour in. Do you have any plugs, or do you have any you got some workshop, or not workshops, but some pop-ups coming
Yeah, we actually
locally?
start September 14th, and we're solid through October 14th every weekend. So we've got we're starting out at my house. So a friend of mine wanted some pumpkins made a couple years ago, and I had never thrown up a pumpkin. I didn't know how to do a pumpkin on a wheel. So I made like five of them, and they went nuts. And that was 3 years ago. And so now on September 14th, we're actually doing a ceramic pumpkin patch in our backyard.
Oh, cool.
I just counted, but before you came on Skype, I got 143 of them made. Um, so like, just this guy is just drying away right here.
Oh wow.
So it's pretty
Sweet.
tasty on the back shelf. So we've got that coming up, and I don't know. It's like it'd be awesome if people in Kansas listen to this, but I don't know how many
Yeah,
people.
you never know.
So
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. People are listening to it. I mean, not a lot, but I mean, the one I dropped yesterday already has like 101. I mean, to me, it seems like a lot, but I dropped one yesterday for Becca Otis,
Yeah,
and
right.
it already has 127 listens, which
Whoa.
to me, that seems like a lot.
Dude, that's legit. Like if I get 127 likes on a post in a day, I'm like, hell yeah.
That's how I feel. And it's like, well, I don't know if people listen to the whole thing, but they at least maybe listen to part of it. And it's like people seem to, yeah, so it's weird.
Yeah, no, it's good.
But yeah, you never know who's listening to it. You know, you never know. There might be someone in Kansas that's listens to it. But where they could, you got all the dates and places are on your website,
Yeah, yeah. www.isceramics.com.
and that's linked in your profile, right, on
Yeah,
Instagram
and Facebook.
or on Facebook, and it's what Isaac Shue is art.
Yeah, Isaac Shue is art. Yeah,
Is
just the
art.
initial is.
Cool. I'll be sure to link it down. I'll be sure to link it in the or post it in the description and
Yeah, right on, man. Thanks.
so
Yeah, and then
cool.
check Companion. Yeah, that show coming up September 7th.
Is that when the opening is?
The opening is. Yeah, I don't know when it goes live online, but yeah, check it
Probably
out.
like the day or two after, I think.
Right.
I think if the opening, I don't know. I'll post it. I'll figure it out and post it. So
Yeah, there'll be some sick cups there. So.
yeah, I know. You went to you went to Encika last year, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was my first year. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I know they had their. Did you go to the Companion Gallery
Yeah, the collaborative.
show? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's to me that seems like the coolest show.
yeah, it's the best part of Encika by
Like
far.
that, the collaboration is to me that's the coolest new thing that I've seen more
Right,
of. And then
right.
the way that artists and the companions, they're just killing it. Like I agree with you. They are everything's touched by Sweet Baby Jesus. Like everyone there is like the coolest kids on the block.
Right, for sure.
And like
Nice. Like I walked in there and first dude I saw was Mike Sinelli and I'm like shaking. I'm like, dude, there's Mike Sinelli. And I walk up.
yeah,
I'm like, what's up, Sinelli? And he goes, my name's Mike. And I'm like, oh, sorry, Mike.
Dick. Yeah, hi Mike.
We're cool and we talk and whatever. And now he like likes my posts on Instagram and yeah, he's super
Yeah.
chill human, you know, and they talk to you and it's cool. They're superstars, but they're awesome.
Yeah, but they're just like us.
Yeah,
They're just
exactly.
they're just people that like clay and ceramics and make pots and
Right.
but yeah, I can't wait to go. I'm planning on going to Encika this year in Richmond or next year in Richmond and like I definitely want to. That's definitely at the top of my list would be to go see the companion stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then I think one of my ultimate personal goals would be to be be one of their artists and to be invited
Oh
to
yeah.
be in that collaborative show. That would be like
Right.
a huge check mark off my list to be like, oh, I'm actually considered like that's kind of one of my goals is to get into that group of cool kids. And
Yeah,
I want to
for
I can sit at that table at lunch.
sure.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And they're all super cool. And you know, Eric Botble, like he's liked a couple of my things. I'm like, oh, cool. He liked my thing. That's awesome. Like, oh, thanks. Cool.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
right.
like super dorky, you know. It's super dorky,
Yeah.
but we're
That's
feel like we're both kind of at a similar level of like we're trying to hustle on the art game, and we're
yeah.
still hustling with our kids and our wives and our teaching careers and we're babies, you know. We got so much. I got a long way to go, so
Exactly.
super super exciting. Cool.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna hit this button, and I'll see you on the other side of it. And thanks for being a guest, Isaac Shue on Play the 4-Letter Word. Hey, thanks for watching or listening to my episode with Isaac Shue. It was really cool to talk to another high school ceramics teacher and kind of talk shop.
I really liked the conversation I had with Isaac, and I hope to have more conversations with other high school ceramics teachers in the future because I feel like there's a lot of ideas that we can bounce off each other and just strategies and philosophies, and also interesting to learn how different schools and districts and states do things slightly differently. School started last week, and to be perfectly honest, I'm slightly overwhelmed with life right now, and I have too many balls juggling, or like I like to say, I have too much food on my plate, and I'm unable to eat it all. So there might be a little bit of delay in the next episode. I'll try my best to get one out next Tuesday, but to be perfectly transparent and honest, I think I might be 2 weeks out from the next one. But I am going to continue to make these podcasts and continue these episodes and continue to have some interesting conversations with some new friends and some old friends. The shirts have been ordered and are being processed. So if you've ordered a shirt on ryanreichceramics.etsy.com, or if you've seen it on the Claire's a four-letter word Instagram or my own Instagram, they've been ordered and they're being produced, and I should have them ready to ship out in the near future. I did order some extras, so as soon as I get them in stock, I will be listing the ones that I do have on my Etsy shop, and I will be sure to make some announcements for that. Like, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes if you can. Speaking of reviews, I got some cool, interesting reviews that some listeners have decided to list on iTunes, so I thought I'd share them with you. First one is from Smudge Cat. And the title is Disturbing. 1 star. Unnecessary to drop the F-bomb every 5 minutes. The fact that the host is a school teacher and confesses to know little of ceramic history and theory and swears like a trooper is quite frankly disturbing. Such a shame that the subject of ceramics gets sullied with this podcast. It doesn't even deserve 1 star. Well, thank you for your honest and perfectly constructive review. I would like to just defend myself a little, is that I do know quite a bit about ceramics history and ceramics theory. I teach high school ceramics to a somewhat urban community, and I have learned how to teach ceramics in a more practical, hands-on sense to my students, and I don't spend an inordinate amount of time focusing on history. I try to give them a cultural context of why we do ceramics. I give my students some historical context about how ceramics has helped develop cultures and develop societies and agriculture and stuff like that. But I definitely do not spend hours and hours and hours on lecturing my teenage high school students on theory and history. I'm more of a practical, hands-on, get dirty, work hard, make mistakes, learn to love clay, learn to love ceramics, and from a more hands-on perspective. So I apologize if you don't like my language. I try not to purposely drop F-bombs every 5 minutes, but I also have learned to just be myself and not filter myself, and try not to be as I just try to do me as the best I can. I'm 42 years old, and if you're disturbed, don't listen. That's the cool part about our society. You don't have to listen. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to listen. You don't have to like. You can give me 1 star. It ain't going to stop me from doing it. I got another review from Bees Tone, and this one, the title is Bummer. 2 stars. Was happy to see another ceramics podcast, but it's nearly unlistenable. The host says like 20 times, counted it, in less than 2 minutes. Seems he has no questions lined up to ask the guests and talks over them constantly when they do try to speak. Interrupts guests to tell his own stories, and the upspeak question voice coming from an adult professional over 40 makes no sense. Well, again, I'm sorry that my style and my personality is not for you. I bet you're probably not my kind of person anyways, because yes, I'm an adult professional. I've been teaching high school for 16 years in the class, 17 years in the classroom, 15th year at the high school I'm at now. I taught a year, a little bit outside of where I teach now, just because I needed a job. But yeah, sorry if I say like too much. I'm not a professional podcaster, and I'm just trying my best to bring the ceramics community together from my garage and my super minimal setup. So if you don't like it, don't listen. I'm not for everybody. Not everybody's for me. We all have freedom of choice and freedom of self-expression. And this is me, and this is how I do it, and I'm not going to stop doing it because two people on the internet say I suck and I'm unprofessional and that I'm a disturbing and disgraceful person. So, sorry, but not sorry, because this is how I roll. So, anyways, I totally appreciate those of you that have been listening and my loyal listeners. I do have a couple good reviews. I got one from Hill Surfer, and it just says, quite proper, 5 stars. Thank you, Hill Surfer. And I got another one from Mike FX, who was my guest in episode, I guess he was episode 3 or 4. I'm not quite sure, but conversations about clay and more. Mike says, I enjoy the laid-back conversational style that drifts from clay and ceramics to influences music, movies, and life. Not your run-of-the-mill ceramics podcast. I'll stick with this one for a while and see where it goes. Thanks, Mike, for the review. I really do appreciate the any reviews I get. Even if it's not totally positive, I definitely will take those reviews and the comments. I'll listen. I'm willing to listen to anybody. But at the same time, I'm not going to change myself or my style or my personality because of, someone's opinion. I will definitely listen, though. So I do appreciate any constructive criticism I get. But I like to use constructive criticism, not just criticism for criticism's sake. But that's the culture we live in, and we like to, pile on and, be super critical of everything and everybody, and that's 2019. So anyways, you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you want. Just Google it, and it comes right up. You can send me a DM at Clay's a 4-letter word on Instagram, and I have some more stickers. Special thanks again to Isaac Shue for being my guest, and my wife and kids for putting up with me. Try to get a new episode out next Tuesday, but I'm kind of running behind, and I'm a little overwhelmed, so it might be a couple weeks until I get the next one out, but I will do my best. You can follow me on Instagram at Ryan Reich Ceramics, and you can follow at Clay's a 4-letter word on Instagram as well. It's on Facebook as well, but I'm not posting much on Facebook. It's just linked to everything on Instagram. I will be posting any listener questions for guests on my stories. So if you see it on my stories, maybe you can participate in this as well. Again, my name is Ryan Reich, and thanks again to Isaac for hanging out with me today, and thanks to all of you guys for watching and listening on Clay's a 4-letter word. Peace.